Olives Reef. Currents, steep steps, submerged rocks and look out for trains. Trains coming through. Port Victor, as it was when sailing vessels came here. This is a view from Granite Island, and in the background is Hayborough and Olives Reef. South Australia, Kangaroo Island, Eyre Peninsula, the rail lines of the colony of South Australia and the government of South Australia, some of which are still in use today. In 1802, Matthew Flinders, exploring the coastline of Australia in an anti-clockwise direction, met a French explorer, Nicolas Baudin, sailing in a clockwise direction. And the two explorers, even though France and Britain were at war, ignored that and exchanged maps. And as a matter of courtesy, Flinders continued to use the names that Baudin had used from this point in an easterly direction. Baudin sailed on and was later lost at sea. The colony of South Australia was at the mouth of the Darling Murray river system, which drains a very large section of eastern Australia. And so before the development of roads and railways, the River Murray was the only way that goods such as wool could be exported to the market. And paddle steamers came down the river and would sail through the mouth here at Encounter Bay, except it was rather dangerous. And a number of ships were wrecked trying to get out to sea. And so in 1854, a railway line was built from Goolwa to Port Elliot. Steel railway in Australia, it was using Irish gauge, and because the products were not urgent, they used horses to move the trains from one place to another, and there was no coal in South Australia for them to use steam trains, so horses was the answer. Port Elliot was a very good port, except it was a lee shore, and in stormy times many ships were wrecked. And so basically 10 years later, in 1864, they decided that they would extend the port from Port Elliot to a port on Granite Island, Port Victor, and they built a causeway from the land out the island, and this now is the line between Goolwa and Port Victor, which is featured. This is Hayborough, which is in the video, and for this time horses were used until 1884, which is 30 years after the first trains moved along here. Things were going very well for Port Victor, except that there was competition from the states in Victoria building railway lines to Echuca, and so the South Australian government tried to keep the trade by extending a railway line which had been built from Adelaide to Kapunda to Morgan. And so in 1878 most of the trade from the paddle steamers at Goolwa to Port Victor were stopped because the products were being unloaded further upstream at Morgan and got to Port Adelaide using the Kapunda to Port Adelaide railway line. So 1878 is basically the end of the use of the River Murray as a means of getting products to market through Victor.